Okay, so tomorrow we're going to see each other, Tuesday, February 16, and tomorrow is the Group A. Now, this what I'm talking and going over the aspirin lab also would be okay for the Group B. So Group B would be here at the lab 2 weeks from now, but would be okay to listen to this if you have time. So what is aspirin? So if you remember, aspirin is a benzene group, basically has a ester group attached to it. So this is the ester part. And then we have a carboxylic acid attached to it. Not going over the what was how it was discovered, and so it's a nice story. But there's not much time. We're just going over the what we're going to do. So aspirin tablet. I take aspirin every day. So let me put this here. So aspirin is basically a pill, and the pill has a starch, and it's not 100% aspirin because, for example, for this pill, I take 81 milligram. So you cannot really put 81 milligram in palm of your hand and see how it is. So it's made. So in addition to the active ingredients, it has starch and some other fillers to make it into a tablet so we can take it easily. So our job is to find out what's in this tablet and how much aspirin we have in this tablet. Your case in the lab, I think it's going to be a lot more than 81 milligrams, either 325 milligrams or 375 milligrams. At this point, I really don't remember. I'll put it up here so you can see. So I don't remember how much actually we have. I think it's 375. So let's go look at the procedure. As we talked before, the lab report is very easy. All you have to do is to print this form. Please print it, or I have an extra copy tomorrow. When you're writing your report, make sure that write your name here, because if you don't have your name there, I don't know how to grade it. Then we look at the aspirin, see what the different things for it is, physical property. MSDS, it's okay. Right? Then we use ethanol and water. So we do the same thing for ethanol and water. By the way, pay attention to the boiling point of aspirin. Pay attention when you see literature, boiling point of aspirin. I'm paying attention to that. I'm looking for that. Then we also have a procedure. So the procedure is basically what we're going to do. We're going to take the aspirin. We call it grain. So it's not a metric system. So it's a medical term. So we're asking you later on what the grain is. We heat the mixture, and etc., etc. So I have a little picture of that for us to look at it. Then we have a pre-lab questions. So put this paper a little bit higher. So we have pre-lab questions. Very simple ones. What is the grain? Common non-active fillers in the aspirin. And what did we didn't use? So these are straightforward questions. Again, as I said before, we don't need to bring anything to the lab tomorrow. So we put it all together, bring it to 2 weeks from now. Okay. Then after that, we're going to look at what we actually did in the lab. So based on the procedure, we get some grams out, and we know how many actual aspirin in each tablet we have is on the jar or in the bottle. So we're going to calculate that. So that's what we call recovery. So that's my recovery. Melting point is always a range, so we report that what the range is. Then we're going to, like we did lab 1, mix aspirin, real aspirin, and your product, what we call a mixed range. So make sure what you have recovered is not the filler or starch, is really the aspirin. Now this part, I used to have a table that shows if the melting point is such and such, what the percent purity of aspirin is. I couldn't find it. So I would leave it blank actually. We don't have an answer for that because I don't have the table. Then we have a few questions to ask you. And that's it. This is the report. So let's look a little bit about the procedure. Let's look at a little bit about the procedure. So in procedure, I changed it a little bit, or put pictures there. So if you have a picture here to help us, you have a picture here. I have a bigger picture to show you in a second. So the key is we weigh the aspirin we put it in. So the aspirin itself dissolve in ethanol, but the fillers and the starch don't. So that's how we separate the aspirin from the starch. We're doing a hot filtration. So hot filtration is helping us to remove the starch from the aspirin. So the aspirin stays in the liquid. Aspirin stays in the liquid. Aspirin stays in liquid. We're adding water to it to make it solid. So we're adding water to it. So here we add water. So when you add water, so this is aspirin inside the ethanol, right? When you add water, the aspirin, what we call precipitation. So it precipitates out. Then I'm moving the paper a little bit higher. So what we're going to use, maybe you don't familiar with this. This is a Buchner funnel. So Buchner funnel, we put the solid in, so the solid comes in. So they call it solid in, and Buchner funnel filter the aspirin for us. And the liquid is basically ethanol and water goes here. And then we take the aspirin as a solid and measure the melting point, not boiling point, melting point. And see what they report that, and see how much we have. So that helps us with the recovery. Okay, back. So what we have a little beaker here. We put the 10 tablets inside. So the tablets are here. And they start dissolving. So the key for this reaction is, or recovery, is to keep everything warm. So in addition to the little beaker that we have the tablet in, we set aside a small, air reminder flask. Then we have a small beaker here. Right? We fold a paper, filter paper. I'm not very good drawer. So I have a little instruction here. I'll bring something tomorrow. So this filter paper here is folded. So that's going to help us to filter the starch and filler away from the aspirin. Then you use a funnel here. So this funnel has a broken stem. See this here? The key is to use a funnel with the broken stem. Put the filter paper inside. Once everything dissolves and is heated, everything's good, we're going to filter. We're going to filter and push the paper up. So we're going to filter the filler away from the aspirin. So the aspirin would be here in ethanol. So we cannot really see it. So once we have the aspirin in ethanol, so here is, right, ethanol is clear solution. So we're going to add water to it, DI water. By adding the DI water, the solubility changes and the aspirin comes out. So we're going to see a precipitation for the aspirin. And you form the solid. You can see the solid forms here. Then we put it under room temperature on the bench. So this is not a funnel, this is my beaker. So we have the aspirin here, and we're going to filter it. And this is the beaker funnel. So we have the vacuum line, heavy duty line. As we collect the aspirin here, take the melting point, and how much? And then that's what the report is. See you guys tomorrow. See you tomorrow.